talk to our product teams and fix it as soon as possible. Like I said before, welcome to this place, which is a very special place actually. We're here right in the heart of Germany, in a little town called Wetzlar. And I did some research.
So yesterday at the Leica HQ, I got to watch a photo competition happen with a bunch of creators from all over the world, and they were all using the Ace Pro 2 with this new grip and a bunch of new lens attachments that come with it. Now, had I just read about this or seen it online, I would have been skeptical. And I came into this thing quite skeptical. We're going to the Leica HQ to do a photo competition with an action cam. Now I call these mini cameras because at this point, with rigs like this and lenses like this and printers and all of the attachments that are starting to get made for these, not to mention an entire community that mod things for this, which I had no idea about. One of the things Insta360 has done is put on like a macro lens. They've done diopters, they've done anamorphics, they've done a whole bunch of new attachments for this that pair really well with the grip that charges the camera, effectively turning this mini camera into like a mini photo camera. Now my first instinct would be like, well, I don't know, like it's, how good can it be? Because it's still like a mini cam. It's still an action cam. No matter how many lenses you put on that, it's still what it is. And I have to say, the photos that I saw everybody take and looking at it non-objectively from the outside, I was very impressed. I did not expect to see the quality and the variety that I saw in everybody's submissions. So I wanted to try to take some photos of this today, and obviously Maddie manhandled this old Porsche all the way up here with no power steering.
Yeah, I'm the backup camera. Yeah, you're doing okay, man. You're almost there.
I'm so stressed right now. There's no power steering on this. I wasn't expecting that. So
I saw you just
I was like, nothing's happening. I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna drive this thing?
Do you feel cool right now?
I feel so cool.
You look pretty cool.
Totally grinding gears.
Bless his soul, so that I could get some photos with this and we could have a cool backdrop and really get something a bit different than the Leica campus, which is great. It's a very brutalist vibe, lots of concrete. I thought this has some more color, has some more potential, some more flexibility, so I could get some photos that maybe have a little more depth to them, a little more like excitement. So that's the plan today, because I really want to see if I can make a photo with this that maybe you wouldn't be able to tell came from a mini camera. That's the mission. And I'm gonna try not to break it before we get there.
Look at this rig. Look at this thing. That is an action cam in a housing made to turn it into a camera with a different lens fixed to a printer. It's almost like they were trying to see how big and outrageous they could make this thing, but it feels modded. It feels like something someone from the community would have come up with, and Insta360 were like, sure, we'll give that a try. And here we are. And that's actually what I learned when we were talking with Insta360 about this Ace Pro 2, is they did take a lot of inspiration from people within the community that have been modding these. But if you didn't want to find all the random bits and pieces from everywhere to make something like that, now Insta360 offer all of those pieces themselves. Starting with this one, the close focus lens, which I do love. That's why this shot, you can see the leaves on the ground so close and crispy, being that it's an action cam, because like we are used to with action cams, most things are just focused way in the distance. It's infinity. That's why it's hard to get depth of field from a camera like this, because they're not typically meant for that. So with some of these new attachments, you can actually use it like a camera where it wouldn't have been possible before. This one even has adjustments to fine tune as you twist the lens to shift that focus even closer. macro. I kept this one on the most, but you can also use the ultra wide. You can also use the anamorphic, and they all come in these little rubber pouches. Look at that bad boy. That's the ultra wide. Doesn't that just look? We're talking landscapes, up close to the action, so it looks like you are right in the thick of it, closer than you might actually appear to be. This one here was a highly requested attachment, the anamorphic lens. It still just blows my mind that here we are in 2025 talking about anamorphic attachments for an action camera inside a housing that's designed for photography from a company that makes 360 cameras and printers. And this clips off and on just like any attachment that you've used before, magnetic, etc., with Insta360 and their accessories. But I have to say, this case is pretty clever. Not only does it charge the camera, but it offers an ergonomic feel that resembles that of a camera exactly. It right down to the thumb wheel at the top. That is like a Q3. Now, where does Leica come into this? They come into the color science behind a lot of the profiles that are used within the camera itself. So the color and the looks that you're getting that are baked into some of these files, some of the settings that you can choose to use or choose not to use, those are designed by Leica. And when we were at the HQ, that's the partnership that we learned more about and how they are infused into each other's software and hardware. I haven't attended a lot of those types of events before, but it's kind of nice to see both companies talking about why they admire each other and what they're proud of accomplishing together. My initial impressions and thoughts of taking photos with an action cam was, I would never do that. There's no way the quality could ever hold up. This did way better than I ever expected it to. Shooting in RAW and looking at the RAW files in Lightroom, being able to pull up and manipulate the shadows as far as I did in some of these RAW pictures. Obviously I shot everything in DNG, but being able to manipulate those RAW files and pull up the shadows and exposure to the amount that I did, and looking at the quality of the photo not falling apart entirely, it's like, check this out. If I zoom into one of these photos and we actually bump this up, turn the lights on effectively, typically you would see, and especially from an action camera, a lot of grain. That file would basically be damaged and you would be able to physically see the damage. This, however, I can still see the smoothness and detail in this photo without any damage present, and that genuinely shocked me. These files not entirely falling apart kind of changed my mind a little bit on this thing. So when I was shooting that Porsche in the forest, we didn't have much time because the rain was coming, so I broke it down to 3 basic photos. And these are the 3 photos I'll start with anytime I shoot a car. Head on, this is where I want to frame the entire scene. I want the car in the middle, but I want to see the environment all around it. Second is going to be from the back, because cars look just as great from other angles as they do from the front, especially with taillights. So I copy that exact thing, shoot it from behind, and then I always love to do a down low perspective. Now, of course, there's the front corner and quarter panel. If you had more time, you can get into details like the tack, the dash, details of the seats, someone who's driving it, the details of what they're wearing. So many things to capture when it comes to automotive photography. But if you're in a pinch and I just wanted to bang out 3 photos outside to both show dynamic range, what a car would look like, I wanted to see if it would look warped, I wanted to see how good the sky would hold. And look at this. Look at the dynamic range in the sky. I can manipulate these highlights in any direction and the data is still there. That's impressive. So we've got our main shot, we've got the rear shot, and we've got our down low shot. I used the regular stock lens for the front shot and the back shot, but I switched to the close focus shot for the down low because I wanted the texture and detail of all the leaves on the ground. I missed fall back home, but we clearly got there in time for Germany. But moving on, if we slide this exposure all the way up, you can see it is plenty bright. The shadows, all the details there, highlights, everything's retained. So we're just gonna go through and start to kind of chip away at this color so it doesn't just look like a generic photo out of the camera. We wanna add a little bit of sauce to this. I don't want to go too hard on the fall colors. That's when you bring up the HSL tabs and you're gonna kill all of the yellow and crank the orange. It looks great and it's very tempting, but nothing ever looks that orange. So it's one of those things where you need to edit it and then come back the next day and look at it again and realize what you've done and then go back and fix it to something normal. I have done that many times. I'll edit photos, I'll be happy, I won't export them. I'll leave them, I'll revisit it 1 or 2 days later and look at those edits again. And oftentimes I'm like, there's some things I need to change. A few times I'm happy, but usually I'm tweaking something a couple days later and then I am happy. And in this case, we're gonna try and mitigate that by getting it right the first time. So we wanna make sure we're not killing all those yellows because that's what's gonna get rid of your greens and your natural fall colors. But I want a little bit of that autumn flavor, so we might warm the photo up a little bit, making sure not to go too warm because then that kills the white of the Porsche, but we can mask that out if we need to. Now with cameras like this, you're not gonna get a whole ton of depth of field. That's one of the giveaways when you're shooting with a camera like this opposed to anything else we're used to. Now with how easy it is to mask in Lightroom and Photoshop these days, you can easily select the subject and add any kind of field blur to the back, making that foreground sharper, adding different masks to divert your attention to the subject. Those things can all be used to enhance these photos to make them look even more real. But again, that's all preference, and that's up to you how far you want to go. I would wager if you are doing that much editing to a photo out of this camera, you're probably better to just use another camera. The beauty of this is it's doing a lot of things, giving you way more diverse options to not just be the camera, but the video camera as well. You're making the video with this, you're shooting the action with this, it's mounted on the outside of the car with this, and you can also take the pictures of the car with this. That's where this shines. Top it off, print the photos with this on the printer. So this shot looks pretty good, and because this was the exact same scene and scenario, the light might have changed a little bit with the sun coming in and out of the clouds, but not too much. These were all shot within 5 minutes of each other. I can copy these settings, paste them across the other two shots, adjust the masks because it's not copying my masks over. But once you dial those in, you've got 3 photos that are looking pretty good that I think would fool a lot of people if they knew it came out of an action cam, a mini cam, a small cam, an Insta360 cam.